Alright, welcome back to the Supercoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to preview round 13 for NRL Fantasy in the 2024 season. So the first big buy round, so obviously a lot of teams out, a lot of players out with origin duty. So an interesting week for trades. If we have a look at our fantasy stats website and have a look at the popular trade-ins, trade-outs, you can see Jack DeBellin at the top of the list. I don't think that's a terrible trade. Is he middle and edge or just middle? I'd say just middle. Yep, so 726 is an okay price for what you get. Yeah, solid enough trade. Absolutely could bring him in if you're looking for a middle this week. Ewan Aitken, so I guess, obviously covers edge and centre. I think he's actually a keeper in the centres for season long. Obviously, a bit hard to oust Crichton and Fafita as the top two edges. So I think, if you want to bring him in, you could absolutely use him in the edge position this week if need be. And then obviously try to get him to your centres for the rest of the season. James Tedesco, obviously probably the best wing fullback option if you're looking for one. So, get him in. Brendan Hands, so very tempting, bottom dollar, dual position, could get us out of a bit of trouble this week. I think he's an okay enough option to bring in. Reid Marnie, obviously, if you're looking for a hooker, I think is a great option. Max King, another solid middle option. I guess with Marnie and King, just be mindful. You don't want to have too many Bulldogs players. They do have the bye in round 15. Other than that, they're obviously good to go. So if you can cover round 15, I think you can, absolutely have them. David Armstrong is, a great option still. Bring him in. Mitchell Moses, yes, number one half option in my opinion. Max Plath, covers middle and half, so very versatile. Good buy coverage, another great trade-in. Joey Manu, I probably would avoid. I think just a little bit overpriced for what he could potentially provide over the next few weeks. Dylan Brown, I think you can bring him in. I prefer Moses in fantasy, but if you want to go Brown, nothing wrong there. Kiraz obviously covers wing, fullback, and centre. Is also in that keeper conversation with Aiken, so you could absolutely make that move. Nafahu White, not convinced of this trade. I'm not sure if I'm missing something, but I just don't think he's gonna really have that many more minutes. They've got Nat Butcher and Victor Radley on the edges, who could probably move into the middle once Siwa Wong and Tupanua are injected in off the bench. Scott Sorensen, I actually do like as an option, given his dual position, fairly cheap for what he can produce. And Josh Curran, dual position, good buy coverage, so another good trading. On the trade outs, Nico Hines, it's an interesting one. I mean, there's obviously a lot of money that we could use in our teams, and he should lose some value given his break-evens in triple digits, 110. So could be even something I consider this week, because Angus Crichton's number 2 on the list, so it's very much the same conversation. I guess the difference is the break even's nowhere near as gnarly, and like the scoring's still there, so could be a decent option. Reuben Cotter, I think, is a good trade out, just given that he does tend to use a lot of energy through Origin. So I think you can get out of that. Xavier Willison, I don't hate the trade out option. He obviously will get some good minutes through the Origin period with, Haas and Carrigan trying to manage their workloads. But if you do have to trade out to make numbers this week, I can understand getting out of Willison. CNK, so don't know if there's an injury involved in that, but I guess you can trade him out. That's fine. Harry Grant, he's probably one I'd be more inclined to keep over Crichton and Hines, mostly because he's not that much more expensive. 705, so you're not actually making that much money out of it. Um, but, he's usually one that will back up, particularly being the captain at the Storm. I think, he should be right to go in those weeks in and around Origin. Brendan Piakura in the extended Queensland squad, so I guess it makes sense to get out of him. Viliami Kikau injured, so you trade him out. Adam Fanor-Blake I would hold. Um, the suspension thing is usually just a 1 week slap on the wrist. I think he'll be a top target next week, so save yourself a trade or two trades and don't trade him out this week. Reece Robson, yep, he's in the New South Wales team, so he can probably go. Sam Hughes, so again, if unless you're upgrading, but I'm not really sure, if it's worth a trade to upgrade him this week. Um, just enjoy the extra number. Chevy Stewart, yeah, not in the team, so he can go. Paddy Carrigan can go. Sean Bloor probably would hold. He'll be useful in round 16. And Reece Walsh, yep, I think can trade out, particularly if you can get in Tedesco. So, I guess based on that, in terms of my team and what I'm doing this week, so I guess got a bit of an awkward situation. I guess we got 10 players. We do have 11 with Talangi, but we can't squeeze him in the back line. Um, it's probably a toss up between Talangi or Bostock for the last spot. Obviously, Kiraz can move between spots. Um, but obviously, we've got Hines, Crichton, and Cotter out. And I've said all along, I'm happy to trade out Cotter. So we'll definitely make that move this week. Um, and, this hasn't really changed. The player I'll bring in is Max Plath. All right, so we can even confirm that trade. So I go back and have another look. So we still ideally need an edge and a half. So I think what we can do is we can use Wilson to get out, and we're going to take the punt on Brendan Hands. Bottom dollar, plays in the halves as well, which is pretty handy. Didn't mean to click that. Alright, now you can cover for Nico. So then I guess the other question is, what do we do with Angus Crichton? So I guess, it would be nice to have 13 this week. But as I said, next week there's a few players that I'm targeting. So one of them you can see there, Dave Fifita. Not cheap at 900k. I want him. I want Fanua Blake, 797. And I also want Jaden Brayley. Oh, sorry, not Jaden Brayley. I want to upgrade Jaden Brayley to, I can't spell, to Appy Coruscant. So you can see the Coruscant to Brayley trade. Given I think Brayley's got a nice break even this week, should actually make money on that trade next week. So, assume that's a bit closer to 500k for Fafita and Fanua Blake, and you work out their combined cost is about 1.7 mil. So take the 500 off that, that's 1.2. So Angus Crichton, we could use his 850k, and if my maths is any good, I think we need about another 350. So what I'm thinking is we could next week trade Talangi. Now that Gutho's back in the team, I think he's done. And Crichton and Brayley and bring in those three big hitters. So obviously it means I'm playing a player down, because obviously I could do another trade this week to get the 13th player, but I'm down to 10. Do the 3 trades next week, I'm down to 7 for the rest of the buys. And if we have a look at the buy planner, Oh, that's right, I've got to search the team. Oh, there you go. You can see I've done this earlier. Brilliant. So it should just plug in the Origin players. So Harry Grant's playing Origin. Ruben Cotter's playing Origin. Angus Crichton's playing Origin. Nico Hines, Origin. So I guess, these sort of 50-50 shouts like Hines and Crichton haven't really gone our way. Dylan Edwards as well, playing Origin. So that has sort of put a few holes in our team. So who else have I missed that I've got 11 playing this week? Alright, so we'll trade Cotter to Plath. And the other one was Willison to Hands. Yeah. So we've got 13, but Talangi's stuck on the bench. So you can see we've got 10. So those 3 trades for next week, I better put them in. So Brayley was Coruscant. Who else did I say? I can't remember now. Crichton will be for Feeder. And then someone to... Oh, so Talangi, that's right, was going to become Fanua Blake. Alright. So don't worry about the money. I don't know how it calculates that on the system. We're good to go. So that will get us to 13 for round 16, which is pretty handy. And then 8 for round 19, which isn't ideal. So I guess who's playing round 16 that's not playing this week? Dylan Edwards is out for all 3. Nico Hines is obviously out for round 20 as well. Harry Grant, obviously, with Origin. Because, I guess Wishart Galvin will be useful. Johnson will obviously be useful. Wishart will be wing fullback, which is alright. It's a bit hard because it doesn't show the positions, but Galvin will go into the halves. Johnson will go into the halves too, so Weeks can come into the wing fullback. Probably trade Finney Fuiaki by that point anyway. So maybe we can do the third trade and get 13 this week. We'll be in a pretty good position for round 13. It's just, I think it's going to be Edwards that goes for a edge. Well, let's have a look. Who else we actually? Well, it could be a middle. We can slide Curran in, which is useful. So we'll have a look at the edges first, and we'll go from there. So we could go Ewan Aiken, and obviously, as I said, he could end up being a keeper in the centres. So that's instantly intriguing. Nat Butcher, I guess with Egan Butcher out, probably gives him a bit more of an opportunity. After that, Dylan Lucas, Tyson Frizzell, not interested. Like someone like a Nicola or a Jacob Preston, obviously, has got some game time coming in. But you know what? I think I'm just going to go with the best option available. So we'll trade out Edwards and trade in Ewan Aitken. And that gives us that war chest next week to hit those 3 big guns. We'll have 7 trades before the round 20. So I think by round 16, the only other trade we'll probably want to do is just to offload Finney Filiaki. In fact, depending on how Talangi goes, and he might get a spot, it might be Finny Filiaki that gets upgraded to Fanua Blake. But yeah, either or, it doesn't really matter, I suppose. So Crichton out, Aitken in, and we've now got ourselves 13 this week, looking pretty good for round 16. Should have double checked round 14. We've got 18. So yeah, Plath, Weeks, Bostock. Oh, so that's, yeah, assuming I trade Crichton to Fafita. So that'll work out well. 13 there. And then, yeah, like I said, we've just got to negotiate round 19, and then we're in the clear. But obviously, we can deal with that in a few weeks' time. Cool. So I guess the last thing is just captains. We're not going with hands as a captain. Uh, I guess the halves being a bit weak doesn't give us a big captaincy shout this week. No one jumps out of the ground. So I guess based on last week's scores, do we go with someone like a Ewan Aitken? Um, don't know, to be honest. Can't decide. You know what? Let's do it. Well, actually, let's have a look at his scores first before we commit to this. Match stats. So it looks like he hasn't gone below a 45 in the. He hasn't played every game, obviously, but he's played every one since round 4. Although actually they would have the bye in round 3, so everyone except for the first game he's played 80 minutes. Only one try, which is interesting. So how did 51 tackles? Holy tomorrow! Do the job against the Warriors. All right, let's do it. Captain Aiken VC. Drinkwater Weeks, maybe KO Weeks with the kick meters. Maybe. Yeah, something like that. Well, it doesn't really say on this website, does it? It only gives you last week's captaincies from round 12. Anyone in my team appear on this list? Dylan Edwards, no good. No, all the players that appear there are playing currently. No good. Yeah, no, let's just go with that. If I make a last minute change, you'll see it in the round review. Sorry, on Monday. But I guess that's probably about it for this video. We'll wrap it up there. Stop the mindless rambling. So if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, if you've got a captaincy suggestion out of this motley crew, feel free to let me know. I'm open to all suggestions. Give us a like, obviously, if you enjoy the NRL fantasy stuff. Subscribe for all the fantasy sports content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.